So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, if you're just hopping on, if you have a small ball of some sort to help you out a little bit later into class, we will utilize that. Lacrosse ball here, a baseball, softball, tennis ball, golf ball, anything like that would be very helpful. But to start things off, we're going to focus on the most foundational movement we do as humans, and that is breathing. All right, so we're going to focus on diaphragmatic breathing. So let's go ahead and take it down to the ground. We're going to start real easy. We're going to lay on our back. This is going to be the easiest workout class you've ever done. So what we want to focus on, again, is that diaphragmatic breathing, breathing through that belly. All right, so we want to avoid bringing those shoulders up to our ears as we inhale where your chest would rise, all right, which we typically get in the habit of doing. So lying down on the ground, I don't want you to focus on anything else. I just want you to focus on your inhale and filling up that belly like a balloon as you inhale and then gently exhale. So just get in the habit of that real quick. Inhale into that belly and exhale. Through your nose or through your mouth, doesn't matter, whichever you're more comfortable with. Just take a big, deep inhale and gentle exhale. So hopefully you got the hang of that. We're going to be working a little bit of tempo now. So we're going to do a 4-second inhale. We're going to hold for 2 seconds at the top, and we're going to slowly exhale for 6 seconds. All right, so I'll count us off. So we're going to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe normally. All right, so let's go ahead and bring it up to a seated position. So hopefully you kind of got an idea of that. Everything else stays nice and relaxed, just breathing through your belly, okay? So we're going to practice that a couple more times in a few different positions. So it may seem very redundant, but like I said, we breathe a lot, 23,000 times a day or something like that. So we want to make sure that this is a pattern that we are beyond comfortable with, something that we don't even have to think about, and breathing correctly is going to help us through our movement, through our days, everything in between. All right, so from a seated position, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're kind of breathing through our belly, and this would be very obvious. If I were to breathe through my chest, you can see those shoulders come up and down. So I want to go ahead and relax those shoulders down and just working on breathing through that belly. All right, so same thing. We're going to do a 4-2-6 on here. So inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. All right, breathe normally. So good there. Shoulders staying nice and relaxed. I will trust that that is the case. So we're going to take this one step further. We're going to bring this into all fours, okay? So in this position, we are engaging a little bit more of our musculature in our shoulders, holding us upright. All right, also in those hips, keeping us nice and steady. So this one is going to be all that important that we hold that breath into our belly, okay? So what I want to not see is I don't want to see us arching our back in any direction. So when we inhale, don't reach that belly button towards the ground. I want you working on stabilizing that whole back and still able to breathe through that belly. So not compensating through that chest or those shoulders. Now, same thing. We're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe normally. All right. Feel pretty good? Feel like you're learning something? Learn how to breathe? All right, so the last little bit of breathing here, we're going to add more distractions to it. So we're going to go into a half kneeling position. I'm not going to get super caught up in what this is going to look like. Basically, we got one knee underneath our hip, other foot's out in front, 90 degrees at that knee. Okay, that's something to look for there. What we're going to do is we're going to utilize our arms to kind of help with that tempo or to help distract us during that tempo. So we're going to get our arms, nice little cactus arms out here. So as we inhale, we're going to reach those arms up. All right, as we hold those 2 seconds, we're going to be actively reaching towards the ceiling. And then we're going to pull those arms back down like you're doing a pull-up or a lat pull down back for those 6 seconds. So kind of engaging that upper back at the same time. So it's a multifaceted, beneficial exercise here. All right, so let's go ahead and get those arms up. Remember, 4 seconds reaching up, 2 seconds hold at the top, 6 seconds pulling down. All right, so we're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2. Pull down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back up. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2. Down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time. Up for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and relax. Give you another test if you want to breathe through that while I kind of talk about it. So hopefully, again, we're still focusing on that diaphragmatic breathing, breathing through your abdomen. So even if we're going into an overhead movement or anything with our upper bodies, all right, we still want to avoid breathing into that chest. All right, still breathing through that belly. It's going to help kind of stabilize through this whole core, which again, in this kind of half kneeling position, is going to require a lot more of the stability through the midsection, okay? More than you may think. So anytime we go up overhead, that's a great kind of reminder that everything underneath that, all right, from your shoulders to your core, to your hips, through your legs, into the ground, remember your ground is stable. Anything between your overhead and the ground, we're going to have to work to hold very solid so we can transfer that energy from if we're pressing up weights or anything like that, to the ground. All right, so it's a one solid foundation from head to heel. Okay? Over-explain breathing to you? Great. So if you have that ball, again, lacrosse ball, trigger point ball, tennis ball, anything like that, we're going to be working on this a little bit. If you don't have a ball, that's fine. You can still pay attention. We're only going to spend like 2 minutes on this. Just something that you can apply later on. So trigger point therapy is like a self-massage. Any kind of tightness in your body, any knots, any sore muscles, we're going to massage it out. So we're going to use your body weight and gravity to help. So we're going to focus on one of the most problematic areas, our hips, our glutes. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to find the kind of bony part of your hip right there. And I want you to go to about 2 inches over, all right, and 1 inch down. So there should be a nice kind of like pocket right in there. And that's what we're going to put in this ball on. So the size of the ball is going to be a little bit of a factor. So the smaller the ball, all right, the more pressure per point. The bigger the ball, the less pressure per point. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you ways to kind of increase and decrease that pressure. But again, finding that bony prominence, a couple inches over, inch down, we're going to go right into that little pocket. This is on my right side. So my left leg is going to help kind of adjust pressure up and down. And the other leg can be extended. We can bring it in nice and tight like this. Anything like that. I want you to just kind of roll it around. If you've never done trigger point therapy before, this may be all kinds of new. So I want you to just get a feel for it. Once you kind of find a spot that's a little tender, I want you to actually hold on that. You can either hold it very statically, or you can move this knee up and down. We'll call it a flossing technique. All kinds of different floss in the world nowadays. But yeah, so we just hold there for about 20 or 30 seconds or so. And if you find another tight spot, you can do the same thing.
All right, so like I said, this is just going to be a very quick introduction to trigger point therapy. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. If you want to go to the other side, you can. You may find out that one side is more tight or more tender than the other. That's a pretty good indicator that we may be overusing one side, which is not abnormal. Just kind of a good indicator that we need to watch the way that we move, see if there's any imbalances. Typically, we see this issue if with women that carry big purses. All right, they always get loaded on one side, or if you carry your child on the same side, a lot of times you'll get compensations in the hip and the shoulders, things that we need to watch out for. All right, so we're going to show you one more with the trigger point. We're going to do our chest, our upper pec. A lot of times we'll get some impingement in the shoulder. So we're not going to go directly in that shoulder. Again, we're going to go about 2 inches over and 1 inch down, right in the meaty part between the middle of your chest and your armpit. So this one, we're going to be face down on the ground. You can also do this on a wall. We're going to put that ball right in there. We're going to put our body weight down on here. And again, same idea. We can keep that arm static, all right, or we can work to reach that arm up and down. Should feel some of those kind of tight rope-like tendons going across that ball. And kind of move it around a little bit, see if you find a tight spot. All right, and hold that for a few seconds. Go on the other side. I know I'm going really fast on this one, but again, just a quick intro. We'll kind of build on this technique as the weeks go on. And again, I want to be fair to those that were not able to find a trigger point therapy device. Don't want to spend too much time on this. So I usually like to move through a range of motion as we go there, just because that personally helps me feel like it's being loosened up. But it's a very kind of a subjective thing, whatever you feel as you do, whatever you physically feel the best from, continue to do that. All right, so let's get up on our feet. We're going to do a little bit of hip opener stuff, work on some mobility in those hips and those shoulders, and then we're going to start doing some movement. All right, so first thing, we're going to take those feet out nice and wide. What I want you to do is just focus on bending into one side, up to the other, and bending into the opposing side. All right, so just a nice little alternating side-to-side lateral kind of squat situation, almost like a lateral lunge, but we are going to keep those feet stationary. So what we're doing here, as we kind of continue to those reps, we want to kind of sink those hips a little bit deeper each time. All right, so we're getting a little bit deeper into almost kind of a full side squat. And you should feel those inner hips kind of opening up, talking to you, stretching through you a little bit, which is exactly what we're shooting for. Just get some blood pumping through those. And if you can, all right, we're going to get real deep. Notice that opposing foot stays on the ground. If we don't quite get here, if we're still here, we're here. All right, that's fine. We're learning how to listen to our body and see where those limits exist. Okay, so we got a little hip action. Let's talk about arms a little bit. I'm gonna make you get down on the ground again. So we're gonna get in that all fours position. If you ever done any kind of yoga, this may look familiar. We're gonna sit our hips back on our heels. We're gonna reach our hands forward in what we call child's pose. All right, pretty simple, right? I'm gonna turn my head so I can talk to you. What we're gonna do in this position is pick an arm, any arm, and we want to, while that forehead remains in contact with the ground, we want to lift one of those arms up off the ground, which may feel really difficult. And lower it. Go ahead, try the other side. Lift and hold. And lower it. So stay there for me. What we're focused on here is that upper back. A lot of times that overhead mobility, if you're reaching your arms up and you see that they're here and we're not quite straight up overhead, there's a good chance that we have some mobility issues in those shoulders. So this is a great movement to kind of work to, first of all, judge and also correct that overhead range of motion. So while we're in that position, we're just going to alternate back and forth here.
with just a couple seconds hold. Bringing one arm up off the ground and back down, and then the other. So again, you may feel like one side is coming up a little bit more than the other, which again just speaks to some imbalances, some differences between our left and right sides, which is totally normal. Just a good indicator of what we should be working on specifically. Let's go one more each side, up and hold. And relax.
All right. So should feel kind of that upper back right around those inside of those shoulder blades kind of getting fired up. And those are the kind of muscles that we want to target. If you do have that trigger point ball, great way to kind of get on a wall or something, kind of lean up against it, or on the ground, kind of work out some tightness around those shoulders. All right. So let's talk about stability. So we worked a little bit of kind of some soft tissue work with that trigger point ball, some mobility work. Talked about our lateral squats here, working to open up those hips, and then that mobility through that upper back with our kind of child's pose, reach and lifts. Okay, so let's talk about stability. As we go from our lower body, we have three kind of main joints here: our hip, our knee, and our ankle. So our hip and our ankle, we want to be very mobile, and we want our knee to be very stable. So a good way to test this is through some single leg work. We want to make sure that leg stays nice and still. So if you're not the best at balancing, this is fine. I'll give you some modifications down. What I want you to do is kind of sit into one leg, really load your weight onto that one foot, and just bring that other foot up. Okay? Doesn't have to be anywhere specific. It can be pretty close, but I just want it up off the ground. All right, so what we want to do with that floating leg, we just want to get a nice little reach out to the side, tap that toe down, and bring it back. All right, you can tap the toe here too if you need to. But what we're looking to see, all right, you may not have your camera on, which is totally fine. You can just stare at me. We want to see this knee not move at all. Okay? So if that knee starts to kind of fold in, go with you, or fold out, all right, there's some stability issues there, which don't worry. This exercise is a great way to help improve the stability of that knee by building musculature above and below that joint. All right, so let's try the other side, just see if there's a little difference here. So just a nice, easy reach out to the side. And notice that everything else is still staying nice and still. How's that breathing? Are we diaphragmatic? Are we through that belly? I hope so. Let's go one more to the side. All right, cool. Very quick intro into some balance. So now let's talk about upper body stability, some shoulder stability here. We're going to get down a lot of up and down today. Hope you're ready for that. So we're going to make our way up into a high plank position. If you don't quite have this plank position, we can go on our knees, no problem. So a high plank position. I don't know if anybody's ever taught you how to do a plank before, but we're going to talk about that. So what I want you to think about, spreading those fingers out as wide as possible. I want you to push the middle of those palms into the ground, push through the ground. All right, and then the inside of our elbows, the part that does the flexing, I want you to rotate those towards the front. All right, so our elbows are pointing straight towards the pits of our elbows are pointing straight forward. Okay, as we're actively pushing that ground away, that upper back should be nice and flat. If those shoulder blades are winging out just like this, I want you to work on pressing away. All right, squeeze those triceps, squeeze that chest, everything engaged in that upper body. I'm going to come down and relax. So easy way to practice that is just in the air here, being able to pull those shoulder blades back and push those shoulder blades away. So this fully extended position, engaged, that's where we want to be. Okay? So let's get back down one more time. Fingers spread out nice and wide. We're going to turn those elbow pits forward, press down into the ground. All right, what about the rest of our body? We're still breathing through that diaphragm, right? Belly breathing nice and strong there. Heels are pushed away from us. All right, so you should feel some nice little stretch through the back of your legs. Your quads are squeezed nice and tight, and squeeze your butt cheeks together. So we are from head to heel, strong as steel. Pretty much everything in our body is under tension right now. Go ahead and relax. All right. So, good stability measure there. Obviously, there's some load on those shoulders. Being able to hold that extended position nice and strong, all right, without kind of folding in like that. We're going to test this one more step up with that plank. We're going to add a little bit of rotation, so it's kind of a single arm stability test. So let's go ahead, back up in that plank position. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Palms are pressed into the ground. Pistol those elbows forward. Heels going back, butt nice and tight. So whichever side you want to, we're going to pick up one hand. We're going to rotate over, and we're going to reach that hand to the ceiling. Again, we can do this in a kneeling position as needed. Okay? Feet can be stacked or staggered. Wherever they go is fine. I want you to just focus on still pressing into the ground through that arm. Let's bring that back to the high plank. Re-engage everything here. Fingers, palms, elbows, heels, glutes. Now let's go to the other side. Nice and strong, pressing into that ground. Opposite hand can reach towards the ceiling. Stability through that shoulder. Are you wavering? Are you wobbling? Let's go ahead and bring it back down. Go one more time, each side. Re-engage. Let's go to that first side. Nice and strong. Fingertip to fingertip, nice and stacked. Bring it back down. Re-engage. Hands to the other side. And back down. All right. So going up to our feet. So we got a few minutes left. So we're going to work a little bit of activation stuff. Just kind of get some general athletic concepts here, or we'll attempt to. That's fine. So we're working a little bit of laterals. So we spent a lot of time kind of working those hips, opening up those hips. So let's kind of put that into practical action. So what we're going to do is good athletic position. So over here, we have those kind of hips sat back a little bit. Knees are back behind our toe. Weight is kind of shifted towards the middle of that foot or the ball of your foot. All right. So if you're, I'm going to assume that you're mirroring me. So this leg, we're going to be moving to our right. All right. So I'm going to move my right leg first. I'm just going to step into that. All right. And I'm going to lean into it. All right. I'm going to reverse that back to where I was. This seems very elementary. Trust me. It's going to make a lot of sense here. So I'm going to step that right foot. I'm going to lean into that right foot. I'm going to lean back, step back. Okay? So we're going to try to teach you here is a step and recover. So we're going to make this step. We're going to lean into it. And we're going to bring this back foot, our left foot, back underneath us, athletic position again. All right? So I'm going to reach that right foot, lean into that foot, recover with that left foot. All right, let's reset back to start. So what this is really going to look like is we're going to step, recover. All right, which is a wonderful way to work those glutes, those external hips. When we were kind of focused on squats, we're focused on any kind of lunging, lateral movement, athletic movement. If you're a basketball player, soccer player, tennis player, lots of lateral movement. Great way to work to activate those external hip flexors. All right, so what we're going to do is get that athletic position again. So leading with that right foot, we're going to step, we're going to lean into it, and we're going to recover with that left foot. Back again in that athletic position. So again, we're going to step, recover. Step, recover. So notice those feet are never coming closer than that athletic stance. I'm never getting on top of myself here, and I'm never overextending myself here. It's always staying about hip width to shoulder width. All right, hip width to shoulder width. All right, so we're going to go one more time, down and back. A little bit more kind of full speed here. We're going to reach, recover, step, recover, step, recover, step, recover. Back the other way. Step, recover, step, recover, step, recover, step, recover. Good. Great way to kind of add a little bit more resistance to this. If you have a mini band, one of those very small loop bands, you can put those around your knees or around your ankles and do that same drill with a little bit more resistance. Okay? We're going to do one more thing. There's kind of the next step up from that, a lateral shuffle. So as we are stepping and recovering. If we just kind of put a little bit of hop into that, all right, that turns into a shuffle. All right, so it's a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more athletic. Boom, boom. All right, so this time we are a little bit wider. This movement is designed to cover more ground. Again, great for basketball players, right? Great for tennis players. That's what we're going to be focused on right here. Certainly a practical application into everyday life as well. Just building the structure and integrity of those hips, stability, mobility, all those great things on that lower chain. All right, so let's work on this a little bit. It's just, again, it's that step and recover with just a little bit of hop. All right, so let's go one more time, down and back, and relax. All right, so that's gonna do it. We are at time, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed some performance basics. We're back here again tomorrow at the same time.